So, this is the Saturday Night Synapse, what have you. This is where we take a league of teams and run through the Synapse Task Force. This is done every Saturday at 8 o'clock on the Torchbearer server. For the most part, not a particularly impressive task force. The first handful of missions are a bunch of defeat-alls, which means a lot of enemies, and God help you if one of them gets stuck in some nook or cranny and takes forever to find. Or worse, this does sometimes happen. Sometimes enemies will just fall through the architecture. And when that happens, you have to call a Game Master for help. Hopefully, that won't happen here. Been doing these for a few weeks, it hasn't been a problem. So, like I said, the first handful are defeat-alls. Then there are a couple boss fights. The thing that really stands out for this task force, though, is a giant monster attack. Otherwise, it's a lot of the same fighting, the same enemies, all the way through. So then there are these little rusted robots known as the Clockwork. These things were the bane of the game in the early days. Energy was at a premium, and these guys just sacked it away. Things got better when the developers made the fitness pool inherent. Vastly improving every individual player's recovery rate. Now, normally, the task force is done by one team. This particular one is being tackled by a league. 6 teams, each one doing their own task force. We use the league so we can maintain communication with each other. Plan? We all stop at the same mission. Like, once it's completed, we all just stop. And wait for whoever's lagging behind to catch up. Once they do, the league leader will then cycle through all of the individual teams and have them exit their mission one by one. That summons the giant monster for each team. Optimally, this leads to 6 giant monsters. Granted, they're all the same monster, but still, it's fun fighting 6 giant monsters simultaneously. Sometimes, other folks get in on it. That's when things get super optimal. And we wind up with more giant monsters. Maybe somebody does a mission that summons the Chronos Titan. Maybe somebody contacts a GM and the GM just drops a monster on us. Why? For fun. This has become the weekly event of the server. People actually look forward to this now. Oh, where are my manners? My name is Levi Whitney. This is City of Heroes Homecoming. And technically, this was something we could do before the game was shut down by NCSoft. But nobody did it because everyone was chasing the new shiny. Since Homecoming is limited in what they can add to the game, and they do add stuff to the game, but since they're limited in what they can add, a lot of the older content has been explored. Strategies have been refined. Unusual strategies have been experimented with. Like, that landmine strategy that my friend Devious and I have done, that's actually old school stuff. The only thing different is if we use a power called Fold Space, which drags a bunch of enemies to your spot. So you can just drag all the enemies onto your landmines. Boy, wouldn't that be a huge thing to see in a movie. You don't want to go into my tripwire? Well, too bad. I'm going to manipulate gravity and drag you through it. See? This is what I was talking about. Clockwork hiding in some nook or cranny. forgot what I was talking about, so may as well get back to introductions. This character is one I made recently. I think back in January. Man, I can actually see when I made this character. Oh, right before Christmas. Oh god, that day sucked. Okay. So. We had a winter storm come through that day. And I had gotten home the night before. It was windy, it was snowing, and thank goodness I had thought to bring a headlamp because I have a half-mile long driveway I need to walk to get home. I mean, I could not walk the driveway, but it gets full of snow and my vehicle gets stuck. So, walking I go. Well, put on the headlamp, start walking, and as I'm going I realize, I'm not seeing the usual lights that I can see. At the very least I should be able to see the glowing light of the old microwave tower. So, I also have to track where I'm going by a row of corn stalks that are poking out of the snow. I can't really see very far before the snow starts to cloud my vision. So, on a lark, I turn off my headlamp. And find that I'm now lost in darkness. I can't see anything. I can't see the lights of my neighbors at the beginning of my driveway. I can't see the lights of my house that I leave on at night for when I come home at night. I can't see any of the lights of any of the houses around me. It is darkness everywhere. And I had recently watched a Burger Creek video where he described what Wraith is like. And I'm in that environment thinking, this is what he was talking about. An oppressive darkness. Everywhere. Inundating everything. And beating down upon me. Every so often I do feel some existential terror. It hits me as an atheist. I never felt existential terror hit me so hard, so fast. Thank goodness I was able to turn my headlamp back on. Because otherwise, I was going to need to crawl down and grab each corn stalk as I crawled along the snow. Which I would have done. I was too far up the driveway to go back. Fortunately, headlamp worked. I saw, after a few more steps, I saw the reflection of the guide wire on the telephone pole outside my house. Realized I'd actually gone further out into the field than I expected. Got home, made sure the pets were all okay. Made sure the house was going to stay warm. and then promptly passed out. Woke up the next day, Christmas Eve, and apparently slapped this character together. Let's see, gotta go and find more of those clockwork just roaming around. They usually hang out on rooftops. One problem of doing this, you end up with the League just wiping out the clockwork population on the overmap. I can't... Ah, here we go. So, Porcelain Jack. This guy is based off of an old Vampire the Masquerade character of mine. In fact, my first Vampire the Masquerade character. So far, only Vampire the Masquerade character. He was Edgelord Extraordinaire. I was operating more inspired by the Blade movies than any of the game's actual lore. But I incorporated that into his backstory. Added that he survived a fight with the Sabbat, probably a bunch of shovel heads. And when he came to, he was a caitiff vampire. And the thing is, I didn't understand the whole concept of signature abilities for the various vampire groups. So right off the bat, I made him with the abilities of the La Sombra and the Jamitsi, which I'm sure just tickled my GM because he understood the nuances of that. Key feature of the La Sombra, shadow control. Key feature of the Jamitsi, flesh control. A character that can do both at the same time? Well, that's the stuff of nightmares in the vampire setting. Well, I can't quite do that in this game, but I can make different costumes that have different abilities. And one of the things I was toying with was the idea of the character using the fleshcraft ability to make himself a mask. Hence why he went by the codename Porcelain. Which I thought was hilarious when the various vampires that he encountered were like, okay, Edgelord, that's an interesting approach. But how about you go by a name that people won't laugh at? And that conversation actually helped me better understand what Vampire the Masquerade was about. like Burger Creek pointed out. Sure, all these other vampires, they're doing like highbrow, convoluted things. Your average vampire is just a regular Joe trying to get by. Unless they're a member of the Sabbat. Then they're assholes. You can hear my cat wailing. Little guy's just growling for attention. I'll be growling to do it outside, but I'm busy right now. I can't touch you outside. I'm too busy. Now that winter's finally broken, my cats are just loving being able to go outside again. They've already killed them all.